with a row between Pakistan and India. Now, the family of an Indian man killed by inmates while on death row are calling for his body to be returned. Sarabjit Singh was attacked by fellow prisoners in a Lahore jail just last week.
What if your life didn't end with a trial? Not with a bullet, but with bricks, iron rods, in a prison courtyard in a country that never called you its own. Sarabjit Singh died like that, beaten, mutilated, and silenced. A man whose body returned to India stripped of dignity, without a heart, without kidneys, and without justice. His death and everything leading up to it lies at the bleeding edge of India and Pakistan's tension. A human casualty in a war fought behind closed doors and iron bars. For more than 30 years, Sarabjit's name has stirred outrage, sorrow, and suspicion across the subcontinent. Was he a drunk farmer who crossed the border by mistake? Or an Indian spy caught in the dark undercurrent of a proxy war? His death wasn't just a killing. It was a message, a brutal punctuation mark in the decades-long hostility between two nuclear-armed neighbors, where diplomacy fails and vengeance simmers quietly in the shadows. In this long, bitter feud between India and Pakistan, it's not always soldiers or politicians who pay the price. Sometimes it's the nameless, the voiceless, people like Sarabjit, whose fate may have been sealed the moment he crossed that invisible line on a foggy night. And whether he knew state secrets or none at all, what happened to his body still begs the question. Was this justice or state-sanctioned revenge? He wasn't just a prisoner, he became a political symbol. His story, buried beneath layers of India and Pakistan tension, continues to divide, provoke, and haunt. In 1990, Sarabjit Singh was arrested near the India-Pakistan border. Pakistan claimed he was Manjit Singh, the mastermind behind deadly bombings in Lahore and Faisalabad that killed 14 people. But the evidence was paper-thin. There was no forensic trail, no verified identity, and no translator during the trial, which was conducted entirely in English, a language he didn't speak. A confession was allegedly extracted through beatings. Witnesses contradicted themselves. His family in Punjab insisted he was a poor farmer who had accidentally crossed the border while drunk. Pakistan sentenced him to death. And then, for 23 years, he waited, in solitary confinement, on death row, inside Lahore's Kot Lakhpat jail. His case became a flashpoint in the relentless rivalry between India and Pakistan. Occasionally, a ray of hope would pierce through, a stay of execution, a legal appeal, but it never lasted. No clemency, no closure. Then came a moment that changed everything. In February 2013, India executed Afzal Guru, convicted for the 2001 parliament attack. The backlash was swift. Political tensions flared. Across the border, whispers turned into threats. Indian prisoners in Pakistani jails were said to be at risk. Sarabjit's family grew fearful, and within weeks, their worst nightmare came true. On April 26, 2013, during a routine walk in the prison courtyard, Sarabjit was ambushed. The attackers, Amir Sarfaraz Tamba and Mudassar, weren't acting out of rage. They were executing a plan. Under police interrogation, they admitted it was premeditated. Their motive was revenge for the bombings, and perhaps more pointedly, for what Sarabjit represented, India's shadow inside Pakistani soil. They didn't need smuggled weapons. They scavenged blades, bricks, and iron rods from a nearby construction site inside the prison. Sarabjit was struck in the head, the back, the face. His skull was shattered, his spine was crushed, his jaw split open. By the time guards stepped in, nearly an hour later, he was unrecognizable. He was rushed to Lahore's Jinnah Hospital, where doctors declared him brain dead. India pleaded for a medical transfer abroad. Pakistan refused. They cited legal barriers. Sarabjit stayed in an ICU in Lahore, kept alive by machines. His family was allowed in, his sisters, his daughters. They held his hand, they wept, they begged. But 5 days later, on May 2nd, 2013, Sarabjit Singh was gone. But the nightmare wasn't over. When his body returned to India, it came without medical records, without treatment details, just a certificate. Indian doctors performed a second post-mortem. What they found wasn't just horrifying, it was damning. His skull had been split into two. His ribs were fractured. His jaw was shattered. His neck was slashed. Deep wounds covered his body. These weren't signs of a scuffle. Indian forensic experts concluded this was a deliberate, coordinated assault. And perhaps even more chilling, it likely involved more than two attackers. But that wasn't all. His organs were missing. The heart, the kidneys, the gallbladder, the stomach, the brain. Gone. No explanation, no paperwork. While some organs may be removed for testing, the stomach, crucial in toxicology, is almost never taken without cause. Indian doctors couldn't determine if Sarabjit had been drugged or poisoned. The toxicology report was rendered useless. The cause of death was officially blunt force trauma. Unofficially, it was a black hole. The revelations triggered nationwide outrage in India. Protests erupted. Politicians across the spectrum demanded answers. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee called it barbaric. Prime Minister Manmohan Singh called him a brave son of India. His family was offered financial compensation. He was declared a martyr. But for millions, the missing organs, the deliberate assault, the silence from across the border, these weren't oversights. They were provocations, symbols of a deeper, festering betrayal. Pakistan launched an investigation. Tamba and Mudassar were arrested. Hope flickered again. But by 2018, the case fell apart. Witnesses recanted. Evidence vanished. There was no CCTV footage, no guard testimony, no convictions. Tamba and Mudassar were acquitted. Officially, due to insufficient evidence. Unofficially, a whitewash. Critics in Pakistan asked the obvious. How does a man get butchered in a high-security prison in broad daylight with no trace of responsibility? Then, a decade later, the story took one final twist. In April 2024, Amir Sarfaraz Tamba, the very man who confessed to killing Sarabjit, was shot dead in Lahore. No group claimed responsibility. No suspects were arrested. But speculation erupted. Tamba had been linked to Hafiz Saeed, the founder of Lashkar-e-Taiba. Some whispered of factional violence. Others pointed fingers at India. Was it revenge? Justice delivered in the shadows? A continuation of the same cold, brutal chess match that killed Sarabjit in the first place? There were no answers, just silence. Because Sarabjit Singh's death was never just a murder. It was a warning, a symbol of unresolved India and Pakistan tension, buried beneath diplomacy and denial. His attackers walked free. His organs were taken. His death remains shrouded in silence. And his name still echoes, in courtrooms, in headlines, in homes across two nations that cannot stop bleeding history. Was Sarabjit a scapegoat caught in a proxy war? Or was he a casualty of a truth both nations were too afraid to admit? In the end, Sarabjit Singh became more than a prisoner. He became a symbol of how justice can be buried beneath politics, how truth can vanish behind prison walls, and how the human cost of national rivalry is often paid in silence. Because when the truth dies in the dark, who really wins? The spy, the scapegoat, or the silence?